All right, here we are. So, I'm gonna have to turn off some volume here. All right, how's everyone going? Cue the music. Cue the intro. Where is 84's intros? We need one of those. Welcome to Comics to Cosplay. We are without Bake tonight. Well, when I say we, I mean I. Uh, Delphia won't be joining us either. She's had a long week and is just resting. But I just figured I would go on anyway and, go through a couple of things here. I have a couple of things laid out and, you know, just show you a few tips on what I'm doing. Making slow progress. If you've seen any of our other episodes, we've done 5 of them. And Bake and I are making helmets. Delphia decided to jump on in, and she's going to be making a mask to hopefully make a cosplay for Death, and kind of a Thanos mashup. So it's going to take some time for us to get through all the things necessary to make a cosplay. We're taking our time, and no pressure. This is kind of a fun thing, and we don't have any con crunch going on, so that's really just going to be down to us making progress as we go. And if you've kept up to us so far on the other streams and the other episodes from the past weeks, you'll see that we've made a little bit of progress on our helmets. And I thought I would just do a few more things on mine this evening. Bake is doing a Mandalorian. After we've done helmets, maybe we'll go on and do the armor and the rest of the cosplay. He has kind of a mashup for his Mandalorian, but I'm going to go for Dr. Fate. He's one of my all-time favorite characters. Plenty of inspiration out there, and I thought I'd kind of do my own spin on Dr. Fate, just through inspirational pictures that I've seen through the media and in the comics that I've read over the years. He's come across a few different forms, so I'll just make the most of the inspiration that I see and see what I can come up with. Hey, Stay Puff. Hey, these comments come in late. Man, I bet compared to the what is it, YouTube comments. She's here. She's supporting. We'll get her on in a couple more episodes. We'll see if we can get some progress on that mask. But I've set something up here. Hopefully it works. Let's see. Doesn't look like it's working. What do we got? Sorry about this. I'm trying to set up a different cam. Here we go. That might work. There we go. Hey. But for some reason I can hear myself on my phone, but we'll figure it out. There we go. That's better. Now, I still don't know how to make... I've played around with this, and I don't know how to make the guest larger. So while I'm making it, if anyone has any tips for me, let me know. Yeah, we were watching Stay Puff earlier. Man, he goes on for hours these days. That's a great show on Saturday. It's generally John in the morning, and then everyone sticks around. If they, we usually put YouTube on in the background. So while we're puttering around the house, we'll, listen in and maybe see a few books people are showing. But Stay Puff, yeah, man, you're killing it these days. You've got plenty of guests, and you go for a couple of hours, and you talk about some awesome stuff. Big Florida crowd. Maybe you guys will end up meeting at MegaCon next year. All goes well. Cross fingers. So let's see, where can I go from here? If you've seen other episodes you saw I did, where are we? Whoop. I got to stay in. It's a bit of a lag, but this was my first prototype. It was based on this. I just took it from an image. I resized the image about 130%, so about 30% larger, and then I basically made two halves out of it, and I joined them together. Because of this curve at the back, when you guys start doing your own cosplays and make stuff out of foam, and you join pieces of foam together, you'll know that curves are a big deal. So when you do put two flat surfaces together and you have a curve in the cut, it accentuates it severely. And you'll see this is a product of not gluing correctly. This was on the stream I did. Was it last stream? I just didn't wait for the glue to dry long enough. It's barge contact cement. So when you put the cement on, the glue on either side, you have to wait for it to dry for a little while, 5 to 10 minutes. I was rushing while I was on the stream, and it, clearly there's a lot of tension there because of the curve, and it just pulled apart. It's been a couple of weeks now. So if that was a final model, I'd be a bit mad, but you can always fill in gaps like that with putty or foam clay, or usually with small seams. Cosplayers will use a what do you call it, like a gap filler that plumbers and carpenters and stuff use, and you smooth that out. But this is way too deep. Anyway, this is way too small. So I thought I would still play around with this, since it's, it still kind of looks like Dr. Fate, and it's kind of very close to what I want it to look like. But I did do another prototype, and where is that? I made it based on this larger. I increased it 140%. And I think it still ended up being a bit small, but I haven't glued the two pieces together yet. What I also did differently, you can see the original pattern had this back curve, which caused this horrible disfigurement on the back. Because when you glue those together, it accentuates it quite severely. So I decided to straighten it. So when I glue these together, the back won't be as terrible. But it is larger. I still don't think it's as big enough to fit my head. But it's still something I will glue together, and I'll use it as another prototype. And what I might do, maybe I'll do it with this one, but I'll probably do it on the small one instead. I want to do a trick and show you guys how I do it. I got a notification that the onlys were on. That's a bummer. Well, hey onlys, if you're watching on the rewind. So what I'm going to do is I will show you guys a trick that I do. Oh, another thing, because this came from a picture, this is a side view. And I've said this on the other streams, there's no pattern for a Dr. Fate helmet. So I kind of had to just create my own, and eventually I'll maybe create an actual pattern. Maybe, and if I do, I can share that if someone wants to recreate it. But when you do it from a picture, this is a side view. It's not realistic if you think of looking at it from the front, if you know what I mean. Because the eye is so close to the edge here, when you cut these two halves out and you put them together, the eyes, I think, are a little too close together. And that's because of the perspective you know, looking from the side rather than looking from the front. So I'm going to have to draw them again and make the eyes a little further apart. And that way it'll be more realistic and it'll actually look better. And I'll actually be able to see through it because my eyes aren't that close together. I don't think so anyway. So what I'm going to do, I'll get these so-called patterns out of the way. So there's a few iterations of Dr. Fate's helmet where he has like a cheek indent in the side of his head, inside of the helmet, and it kind of goes from the ear down to about, you know, the side of the chin. So what I'm going to do is use this pattern to try and create an indent. And I've done this before on other parts of armor and things. And it's kind of a tip that I found online from another cosplayer. And I've just, you know, as you find tips throughout the time that you do it, you use it to your advantage. And just keep using the tips and tricks and materials that best work for you. So I think this is a cool tip and method. So what I'm going to do, so we're going to be creating, I don't know if you guys see, but I think there's a lag in my phone camera, but oh, who we got? Rod. Hey, Rod. We'll hopefully be able to join your show later. I know you go on soon, so it's Coast to Coast. Everyone join Rod's show on Coast to Coast at 8. Well, 8 Eastern. Favorite name, Delphia. Is that her real name? I think Rod thinks that's her real name. But it's a pretty cool name. Issues, how you doing, dude? You made it. So let's see. What I thought of doing was creating a cheek indent. I'm doing this upside down because this is the way you guys see it. This will be harder for me. So I basically want to join the side of the chin, where the chin would be, to the top of the ear with an indent. And this is how I would do it. So basically, I got to do this way. Just create a curve. Something like that. If you guys can see that, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. Because this is the first go, we'll see how it turns out, and I can always adapt from there. So what I'm going to do is try and transfer this onto my prototype. And the way I'll do that is I'll get a knife. I've drawn the guideline, and I've done this on multiple things like armor on my Moon Knight, on my Laughley's when I did some indents on that. And I just do an overlay. I think, yeah, when I did like fake abs on my Moon Knight, I did this too. So I just leave a little space on the edge so it doesn't come apart. And I'm going to create a groove here. I'm just going to cut out the line basically. And what I'll do with that is I'll be able to draw through it and draw onto the foam. Now, this is probably like super boring to some people watching something like this, but hey, this is what we do. This is why we're DK Comics and Cosplay, because we love to cosplay. And I'm sure many of you probably have thought about doing it, but didn't know where to start. So hit us up if you got ideas, or you want to join our show, or you want to create a cosplay and you need tips. Let us know. So you can see I cut a slit in that. And what that'll allow me to do is draw a line on my helmet. And you know what? I'm actually going to have to do it from the inside. So I'm going to cut this apart. I'm going to cut the back off because that's useless. And let's do it like this. Like that. Cutting up my cosplay. Bye-bye. While I think of it, I need to heat the glue gun up. Okay. What I'm using for what I'm going to be doing is some hot glue, and we use black hot glue. You can get it on Amazon. It's, you know, obviously not the regular clear white hot glue, but we found that this stuff, and thanks to a friend of ours, Rob, he uses this stuff. We swear by it, man. It holds so well. It gets so hot, and you know, I think a lot of cosplayers out there will say that the worst injuries they have sustained from cosplay is from hot glue, because it gets molten, and this stuff is like the temperature of the sun. So be careful. There's other things that can hurt you, razors and, you know, knives and you know, chemicals and stuff, but this stuff literally burns holes in you. I think Delphia has some scars from that. So we'll heat that up. Now, make sure you have something to rest it on. I know Delphia will be happy to see that I'm doing that. So I cut the back off this. That way I'm hopefully going to be able to more easily transfer. Where are we? Get this right. I'm basically going to be putting the line on the inside because I want to be able to cut on the inside. So hopefully we can get this in here. As long as I can position the cheek, I think I'm good. It's definitely not cooperating very well. You can do it. This is why you need time lapse, and you know what? Let's just do this. Ah! Cut it. And always make another one. But that's going to be close enough for what we need. Okay. Now you guys are getting bored. You guys are hanging out in the chat. All right. So I don't know if you can see that. I kind of got it in there. I'm basically going to trace that line that I have on the inside. And when you have a pattern, you really only need one for identical sides, and then you can just flip it over and do the other side. So you can see, let me finish that line by hand. You can see I've drawn the cheek line in there. Now, the reason I didn't do it on the outside is because I'm going to be cutting the foam, and you don't want to be able to see that. And on the outside, obviously you'll see it. So I'm going to be cutting it on that side, but what I need to do is do the other side. Kind of ruined my pattern, but whatever. So now we have identical cheek lines on the inside. So what I'm going to do, and I'll show you actually, I'm going to just, you can't actually tell. See, that's how strong contact cement is. You can't even tear this. You'll actually rip the foam before you pull these contact cement joints apart. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a bit of this foam to show you what I'll be doing. On the helmet. Poor Mike, how you doing, man? Appreciate you joining in. Just doing a bit of cosplay, trying to get progress on these helmets. This is still the prototype, but I just want to show you a trick that I do that actually quite a few cosplayers know this, and it's probably a more advanced. It's not that hard, honestly. It's you could probably say it's an advanced technique, but it's not. What you want to do is you're going to create a groove, kind of like a V-shaped indent in the foam. And the wider the V, what you want to end up doing is closing those surfaces together and gluing them together. And what that will do is it will bend on the other side. If it's a more shallow V, if the edges are closer together, it won't move the foam much, so you get a smaller bend on the other side. I can show you that. Let me do two examples. So on this side, try and do a pretty open V without going through to the other side. Like that. It's not very sharp. I need to get some better blades. And then basically parallel, and hopefully they join in the middle. There we go. So you'll see there's a V in it. And what the idea is you want to glue those surfaces together. You create a V, and it'll bend on the other side. What you can also do, actually, maybe I need to be going the other way. You can also make it bend inwards. And I think in this case, that may be the look we're going for, is an inward bend. So that's kind of using the same technique in opposite ways. If I was to glue these surfaces together, and you probably use contact cement for that, or super glue, hot glue, it'll work, especially this black hot glue. You'll end up with the convex on the other side. But let me show you with this one. If you do a narrow V, this heat down here has been getting to me, going through 2 t-shirts a day at work. I know your pain, man. I use those quick dry shirts, but you know, you still sweat, so you still get wet from sweat, but they dry quick. The idea here then is, let's do this with the glue. So I think because I'm inside, I'm going to use some super glue. And we'll use super glue to glue these sides together. In a pinch, super glue is really good on foam. And you probably need some kind of reversal acetone or something if you want to get it off. If you want to open up that seam or pull those pieces apart that you glue together, it's almost impossible. But in a pinch, that will work. So I'm just going to hold those together. When you want to go the other way, you use the same groove, but you want to fill it with something that'll take up space. And sometimes you can actually use the piece that you cut out as well as some hot glue to kind of really open it up. So I'm going to need my hands for that too, so I'll let this dry real quick. What is Issues doing? It's saying all sorts of crazy stuff. Oh my god. That is modern day language. What are they? Kind of hashtags, but they're colons. Shelter in colon. Wash hands colon. That doesn't sound too good. Yeah. I need some accelerant. Super glue still takes a little bit to just dry. Sorry, to cure. I guess that's the real word, right? With glues and epoxies. The other thing I was hopefully going to have time to do is maybe, at least for my larger one, when I put it together, make a faux hawk. This piece of foam is not sufficient, but maybe I can do some kind of a small version. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 things at once. So, you know what? Let me do it on the small one. That way I can at least show it on this helmet because it's finished. Well, this side is going against the helmet, so I need this to, okay, so about there. It's not going to be like the final product, but it'll be something. All right. Anyway, this is not really curing as fast as I would hope. Well, there we go. So you get the idea. If you want to create a bend or a convex shape in foam, and usually people do it on chess pieces or in like fake muscles or something, without actually creating an edge with a Dremel. You can bend the foam, cut a groove in the back, glue it together, the two surfaces, and you end up with kind of an edge. And the opposite is what I'm going to show you with the other side. Now we have our hot glue. As we fill it with molten hot glue. This stuff is like lava. But because it's such high temperature, it does take it takes a little longer to dry or to cure than regular hot glue. And I'm actually going to cheat a little bit by putting a filler piece of foam in here, and that is hot. What I want to do is open it up. This can get messy. It's funny because you make a cosplay and it looks pretty decent in photos, but if you look at the details, people have made shortcuts, they've done all sorts of tricks. So when you look on the back, you see stuff like this, and it looks like trash, but it actually looks really cool from the other side because you don't see this. And what I'm going to do is let this cure. I need it to totally set. Sorry, Callie was holding my phone. I guess she decided she wanted to type. Chill with dog. She's saying something. She wants a dog, not a cat issues. You guys have a dog anyway, right? You have a couple. Thanks, Mike. Way cool. This is kind of way cool. Need to blow on it. So it looks kind of weird. Telling a story in emoticons. Plenty of hand sanitizer by the sounds of it. She got the right idea though. She already has 3 dogs and a cat. She needs no more. She wants a pig for Christmas? What on earth would she do with a pig? We've gone 33 minutes and we've made some progress. It's crazy when there's certain things like this where you just got to hold it. That's when someone says that's what she said. Oh my God, you might get it. Yes, she burnt herself with this. Totally. It just dripped on her somewhere and just burned a hole in her. Some kind of 2nd or 3rd degree burn. It's insane. This is my experiment. It's still, you can still see there's some flex to it because it's still cooling down. So this is set, dried, cured, whatever you want to say. And now you have a pretty good curve in it. So as long as you are gluing it in the pattern that you want it to be, so you're drawing it on the foam on the correct side, so the back side. We use different foam too for our final cosplays now. This is just floor mat foam. You can see the texture on the back. Some floor mats have like that wrought iron or whatever it's called pattern on the back, which is a little more irritating, I think. It's just bulkier pattern, which kind of gets in the way when you're gluing stuff together. This is a better pattern. If you're going to be doing a cosplay and want to go cheap, the floor mats are the best option. You can get like 6 big square ones for 20 to 30 bucks, depending when you buy them. And this pattern comes on a lot of them. And you can actually use this side as the front side on a cosplay, on certain armor or whatever, just for that texture pattern. You don't have to create it yourself then. But yeah, just bend it how you want it. So this is going to close a little bit, but you get the idea. Now you can see on this side, it's created a nice crease, and it's not a join. I haven't cut it and put 2 pieces together. I've literally cut the back, opened it up, forced it apart with hot glue that takes up space. And now that the hot glue is somewhat dry, cool, I mean, it's set and it will stay like that. And if you use regular hot glue, like the low temperature one, you know, we've had it even on cosplays when the temperature's hot and you're sweating inside there, the hot glue can melt just from body heat and you have pieces falling off of you. And in this case, this is going to open up if that melts at all. So we transition to this high temperature, you know, it's more dangerous, but it holds strong. And I even put straps. I hold straps on foam, you know, like buckles to hold pieces of armor on your body. And I use the hot glue to fasten those straps to the back of the foam on the armor. But you can see a nice crease there. So that's the look I want to go for here on the front of my helmet. So what I'm going to do, move that. While I'm here, I'm just going to cut this faux hawk. I'll make it flat on the helmet side. Generally, when we're crunching for a con, we'll be doing like 5 or 6 things at once. So this is why I'm so used to, it's not exactly perpendicular, so it's not going to sit straight, but we'll get the idea. I'm kind of used to doing multiple things at once for cosplaying. Okay. So essentially, that's what we're looking for. I think in some of the iterations, it's smaller. It's not as pronounced. It's not like Gladiator like this. Sometimes it's further down. But I'll play with it and find the best position for it and the size. And then once I get the place right, you can use a Dremel and just Dremel the inside so that it fits the shape of the helmet properly. And then glue it in place. And then, you know, once you've done that, I mean, this is obviously tiny. This is not going to fit my head, but it's something to practice on. And when I go for the final product with this kind of foam, which is a high density foam, and you can see it's smooth on both sides. You know, it's specially made for cosplaying. You know, I can shape this, maybe make a beveled edge on the top so it's not square. So that's the faux hawk. Let's move these pieces out of the way. Then we have our indent, so concave and convex. And what I'm going to do is this concave on the inside of my helmet. JB turned up. Hey man, did I miss some comments? Delphia's chatting everyone up. That's awesome. Cat hides in a box. Make sure to wash your hands and social distance. Very nice. Thank you, Kaylee. Dabs every morning at school for the good morning song. More cats than she eats lunch and drinks water. Does the glue smell? No, not that I know of. I have a really bad sense of smell, so Delphia might be able to tell you more on that. Pretty sure it's inert. Hot glue is, it's made for all sorts of projects and art projects, so I think it's kid friendly, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't smell. Maybe when it's burning and bubbling like that and you see some fumes come off, that could be just from the foam melting though. I'd probably be willing to bet that that's the foam melting. We'll never end up with a pig. You purposely put hot glue on your hands? No. Jay, thanks for joining, JB. I know you're excited about this stuff. Seeing the progress. I did video myself doing some stuff last week. I think it was Monday, day off. And I'll maybe try and put a little time-lapse video together with that footage. May add some more footage to it, but I think that could be a cool uploaded video. Some time-lapse. Because it can be time-consuming, So let me do, I'll at least do one of these cheeks before we end the stream. We're 42 minutes in, so let's see if we can get a cheek done. That's probably fine. You don't want to cut through. If you cut all the way through, then obviously, yeah, you're cutting all the way through and you're going to see it. And you got a curved line without cutting through. Now, I would do this while it's flat before I glue these pieces together. I'm just doing this kind of after the fact. That's why it's a little bit trickier than it would be normally. I would already have this done before I glued these two pieces together. This is going to be tricky, but I think we can do it. There's definitely a lot to it, but once you get the hang of certain techniques, it kind of comes second nature. We've been doing this for, what, 4 years now? Can see, it's hard when it's backwards like that. Oh, pulled it out. Just comes on out. Nice little V. Now you can actually, because it's weakened the foam, you can already start I may have been wrong. I think I really should have thought this over in my head, but you need a groove either way. I think what we're going to have to do is the convex way. If I go like that, you can see the line, but then the cheek's going to stick out. So whoop, I think we'll go with this route and glue those together. And remember, for this one, you just use contact cement or super glue. And that's what we're going to go for. The lava version is not kid friendly and it doesn't smell. That's good to know. Yeah, my sense of smell is horrible. I can smell some things if they're good. Technically, you know, I can only really smell things that are good over things that are bad, which is great. But then it means, you know, certain things that are bad, I don't know. You know, things like gas. I don't know if there's a gas leak. What did Mike say? I'm still hunting those Canon issues. Oh, seriously? No. For who? Crazy. I would absolutely do a time-lapse video. My girls watch a lady repair squishies to music and it gets crazy number of views. What's a squishy, JB? But that's pretty nuts that they would just sit there and watch time-lapse videos. I guess time-lapse videos are kind of cool. We like watching time-lapse videos of like plants growing and stuff, you know, things that generally take a long time. So I'm going to use super glue on this. If I was in the garage, I would use contact cement. But it's cozier at the moment inside. It's been pretty hot lately. We're getting towards the end of the summer and we're getting, you know, no more 90-degree days. But it's still warm and it warms up in the garage. So we got the groove, got glue in there. And I'm going to make sure I have pressure on all parts of this curve. That way it stays. Toys that are spongy. There we go. That's so weird. Kanan. Kanan is a pretty cool character. Rebels is a great show. I still haven't. I just watch that every now and then. You know, if I'm up early and you know, I eat breakfast and watch a couple of cartoons like in the old days. I'll put Rebels on. I went through all of the Clone Wars, which got better. It's a long, you know, kind of trudge through Clone Wars, but it does get better. And that last season, the cartoon CGI, whatever you call it, is really phenomenal. If you're a Star Wars fan and haven't seen Clone Wars, at least watch that last season. I know someone suggested that to John today because John's not going to watch all of them. He's not that much of a Star Wars fan, but he's been reading a little bit recently. John will be a Star Wars fan before you know it. But Rebels, I think Rebels is good too. I like the Rebels version of Ahsoka more than the Clone Wars version. So it looks like it's mostly set. Now we have the cheek. If I wanted to do like both directions, sometimes when people do muscles, right, they'll do like say they want to do a pec and just do a fake one. They'll do the surface a corner like this, and then right underneath it, they'll do an indent corner like that. So it kind of goes both directions. This is hard to show on here. But you can do one groove and then really close to it, a second groove that goes the other way. And so you get that down, under, and then back the other direction, back to straight again. It's hard to explain, but if I wanted to go, back out again, I can do a groove on the back that follows this line and then just bring it back out. But I think that kind of does the job. I think it does it pretty well. It's maybe too much of an edge, but I mean, I could have just done 2 pieces of foam and joined them there, but then I would need to Dremel it and glue it, and sometimes the glue doesn't, the line just isn't as smooth as this can be. So that was the trick I was going to show everyone, using the backside grooves, and I kind of got it mixed up, but from the purpose that I needed, what I was visualizing in my head was actually something like this. From some of the comics, his helmet has kind of a cheek in it, so that was the look I was going for. But it was good that I was able to show you both the innie and the outie, as we can call them, using hot glue on the innie, and then super glue or contact cement on the outie, because you need to glue those surfaces together that you groove out, and then it curves in a convex way on the surface on the outside. And the other way, you can put a piece of foam or something in to help hold it open. It's kind of a cheat. If you don't, it also, you don't use as much hot glue, and it will stay like that. It's a pretty clean edge. So that's the trick. The innie and the outie. I probably won't do another cheek on this. We'll see. I might. And then we'll do some playing around with the faux hawk and see how big I want to do it. I think I want to do it like this. In some versions, he has a much smaller one. In some versions, let's see, we got I got some books. I don't know if you can see it on this one. Let me show it on here. There we go. You can see he's got a tiny faux hawk on there, and it's kind of a bit further back. This one, it's barely there on the Immortal Dr. Fate. I don't like those shoulders. I'm definitely not going to do that. And I hate the collar. On so many versions, especially through the 80s, he had that collar. I think that looks kind of weird. But, I mean, it's his look in a few versions, but I'm definitely not going that route. Look, this is the series I first started collecting in my first pool when I was 17 or whatever. He's got the damn collar. Look at that. And the amulet, there's so many different versions of the amulet. Oh, man, I keep moving that up. I still need to figure out what kind of amulet I'm going to do. He doesn't have a faux hawk there, but this one, Dr. Fate series from the mid-90s, I believe. You can see, there we go. His faux hawk is weird. but it's a bit more pronounced. It's almost like a corner. He has an amulet there. And then here, I think this is it's Countdown to Mystery is like 2006, 2008. There we go. He's got a cool cape. He's got a much better amulet, and he has the faux hawk. It's hard to tell where it kind of stops. But yeah, that's 70s collar. You like that, Mike? Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Definitely gonna do the underpants like that. That's just crazy. What are we talking about? Anyway, some inspirational books there. Plenty of content out there to get inspiration from. So next week, hopefully I'll have a faux hawk. I'll probably make another size, a little bigger than this. The eyes a bit further apart, and it'll probably take some better shape and something that I can actually fit on my head, because this is way too small. This will fit a child, no problem. So we're at 56 minutes, almost an hour. I think everyone should go and check Rod out after this, coast to coast. I'm going to log off. Thanks for joining, everyone. I hope you got at least one tip from this to help with your cosplay. 6 episodes in, we've made a little bit of progress, but we'll just keep going. And hopefully every week, every time, every couple of weeks, we might skip a week, but we will continue going, and we'll see you again this time next week, 7 p.m. every Saturday, Comics to Cosplay. Thanks for joining, and thanks for watching on the rewind. And have a great week, and especially a great weekend. Relax, enjoy yourself, watch lots of YouTube content, get some gardening done. Catch you guys. Thanks. See you later.